Raghav has asked the first question. Nisargadatta says pain is physical, suffering is mental. Does that mean that if one is in the right mental state, one will not feel pain as in deep sleep, or one will feel pain and with the certitude that it cannot affect the real me and hence will be free from suffering? Raghav, the answer lies in the question. See what you have talked of. You have talked of pain, you have talked of suffering, and you haven't talked of anything else. The difference between the one who suffers and the one who does not is not in what they have, but is in what they do not have. The one who suffers has only suffering. He does not have anything beyond suffering. Let me put it more accurately. To not to have anything beyond your pain is called suffering. To not to have anything beyond your pain is called suffering. This fellow has pain and only pain. This fellow who suffers has pain and only pain. This situation is called suffering. The other fellow who does not suffer has pain in equal measure. It is not as if his degree of pain is lesser. He has pain and he has something more. The fellow who does not suffer has pain, but he has pain and something more, something beyond the pain, something bigger than pain. When you have something bigger than pain, then pain is small. It's obvious. Right, Prasanna? When you have something bigger than pain, then pain is small. A fellow has just nothing in his account. Zero. And he loses 100 rupees. The balance will show as minus 100. Minus 100. Minus 100 is pain. Minus 100 debit is pain. Minus 100 balance is suffering.
To lose 100 is pain. To be left with minus 100 is suffering. Do you get the difference? So suffering comes not from what you have lost, but from that from which the loss has been deducted. Your starting balance is 0. You lose 100. Losing 100 is pain. And to be left with minus 100 is suffering. Now there is another fellow. He has a crore rupees in his bank. He loses 100. He is still left with a crore. If you want to call it 99 lakhs, 99,000, such things. That doesn't matter. That's still almost a crore. And the bigger the starting balance, the more easy it is for you to approximate and say that the loss of 100 has resulted in 0 loss. Now both these fellows have lost the same amount. How much have each of them lost? 100. So the pain is the same. One suffers, one does not. When you are little, when you have little, then even little losses perturb you so much. And if little losses perturb you so much, then you must tell yourself that you are very little. And if little losses fail to rankle you, then you must know that now there is an immensity in your being. Take away. I have so much. This little bit of deduction is no deduction at all. I have not been reduced. Purnasya purnamadaya purnameva avashishyate. Purnam ev avashishyate. So much is still left. The total is still left. Purnam ev avashishyate. Nothing has been lost. There was so much that even if a lot has been taken away, still the total is left. There is no loss, hence no suffering. Get it, Raghav? Pain is pain. Suffering depends on the one to whom pain is occurring. A deduction of 100 is a deduction of 100. Suffering depends upon the fullness of the account. If the account is full, suffering cannot occur. Is your account full? There's an easy way to check. You don't even have to log in. Just see whether you suffer. If you suffer, yours is a very feeble, very dilapidated account. Kabir says, Maya is a thagini. Elsewhere he says, a chore. The one who steals away from this immense account of yours is called Maya. Maya is like a hacker. And this hacker has a peculiar way of troubling you. This hacker does not actually steal any money from your account. What she does is, she just shows to you as if the money has been taken away. So you still have a crore rupees in your account. But when you log in, your account has been hacked. And what you are seeing through your eyes is that there are only 500 rupees left. Now there are actually a crore rupees yet there. It's a very strong account, very resistant account. Nobody can take anything ever away from it. Not even death can take away anything from that account. But Maya can show to you as if the account has been looted away. That kind of chore, that kind of thagini is Maya. Without actually stealing away anything, she makes it appear to you as if you have been robbed. The kind of account that you have is safer than the accounts that you have in government-backed banks. There, the bank is backed only by a sovereign government. If the government, the country, the economy itself collapses, then even that bank would go. But here you have a bank account that Krishna has described by saying that fire cannot burn, weapons cannot penetrate, air cannot touch, death cannot destroy. That kind of account you have. And in spite of having that foolproof account, you are made a fool of. Maya is helpless. She cannot really do anything. But she is also very powerful. She can make it appear to you as if you have lost a lot. And who can help appearances? We live in a world of appearances. If it appears to you that you are broke, then in your own mind, in your own image, you are broke. We don't live in truth. We live in our perceptions and images. And that is why the saints do not know how to look at us. Sometimes they laugh looking at us, and sometimes they cry. At one point, Kabir says, "Sun sun aave mohe hasi." He looks at you and laughs. At another point, he says, "Diya Kabira roye." Now he's crying. He's laughing because you haven't lost anything. And he's crying because in spite of not having lost anything, still you live like a pauper. You live in such a sorry condition. The mind is forever begging. Man's mind lives in such a sorry state that animals take pity on him. Animals have hunger for today, maximum for tomorrow. Man has hunger for generations. So badly does he feel that he has been robbed. Such is his acute sense of hollowness. He even tries to take care of the afterlife, enlightenment, nirvana, moksha. Such is his hunger. Have you ever seen an animal so worried that he would think of 2 years hence? Worry is the unique privilege of human beings. Worry is our own personal prerogative. The man with the greatest mansion keeps running about, seeking shelter in poor huts. That is worry. Pain, Raghav, you can take almost as an objective condition, though there is nothing really objective ever, but for the purpose of comprehension. Suffering is how you respond to the pain. You resist the pain, you feel belittled by the pain, you suffer. You really must have something far bigger than pain. Then pain is reduced to a trivia. You have a great celebration in your house. And somebody comes and says that the electric bulb on the fence has been stolen away. And your house is teeming with guests. And there is music and decoration. And everybody is in a great mood. How much does this piece of news affect you? Come on. And if you are in shambles, you have nothing in your life, you live in a hut. Even the electricity connection is a stolen connection. All that you have for light, illumination, is a poor bulb, dim and flickering, on its last legs. And the bulb passes away. What happens to you? Your entire universe is in darkness. A 5-watt electric bulb can break you down. The question is, Raghav, what do you have? If you have a celebration of lights, and lights such that receive their sustenance directly from the sun, immortal lights, inextinguishable lights, lights that no human being or circumstance or chance can dim or fade or extinguish. Then would even the thought of darkness arise in you? You'd not be asking what to do with this thought, because the thought itself would not be there. All thought comes from somewhere. Thought is not as random as it seems. You just don't start thinking of anything. Your thought depends on your identity. Your thought depends on who you take yourself to be. Your thought depends on the center you go to. If your mind is full of nonsense, if you have thoughts swarming like bees in your head, it means that you are living from the wrong center. You want to know the difference between pain and suffering? Suffering is always accompanied by worry. Use that as the test. You have been hit hard physically, emotionally, financially, in whatever way possible. If that is not leading to an explosion of thoughts in your mind, then you are not suffering. The characteristic of suffering is that it leads to turbulence in the mind. Your state might appear bad, but if it is not making you restless, if it is not making you lose sleep, then you are not suffering. You might even be on your deathbed. In the worldly sense, you might have lost all. You might have been betrayed. Chance might have given you a raw deal. But if that is not making you worried, if that is not making you feel small, if that is not making you feel reduced, then you are not suffering. So you suffer. Don't try to do anything with pain. Pain can be largely circumstantial. You may have really no handle over pain. We started off saying that the question is not whether you have pain. The question is whether you have something beyond pain, something more than pain. So don't ask me about pain. I want to ask you, why don't you have something bigger than pain in your life? Something that makes pain seem so small. Something in front of which pain becomes irrelevant. Why don't you have that in your life? Pain will continue. If you seek liberation from pain, you will have to seek liberation from the body. The body itself is a pain house. You are born in pain, you live in pain, and you will die in pain. It's just that the degree of pain may keep varying. You call pain as pain only when it becomes perceptible to the senses. And our senses aren't very sharp. You don't even know. But your stomach might be feeling pangs. Your nervous system might not be sharp enough to register that. Your body might not feel the need to take note of every small happening. Spasms, convolutions, a little bit of dizziness is part of everyday life, is it not? Hmm? Your eyes burn. You have to regularly clean your teeth. This body demands so much of maintenance. Is not all that pain? Hmm? Pain is an integral part of life. If you are seeking freedom from pain, keep seeking. Let pain be. Ask yourself, what more is there? Let pain be. Ask yourself, what more is there to life besides pain? Yes, pain is there. It is there. Here, everywhere there is pain. Can you play through pain and win and lose? But play. Can you look at pain and say, yes, gentlemen, you are here, but I have more important matters to attend to. You may wait. Do you have something so important to attend to that you may ask pain to wait? That's the trick. Keep pain waiting. Tell pain, I understand. You have your own pressing need to be heard. But let me first finish off my other business, and let the other business be so immense that it never finishes off. So you keep pain waiting forever. You have cheated pain. Pain will be kept waiting, and a day will come when you will say goodbye. The office is closed. Sorry you waited too long, but I am going. Ja ठगने ठगनी ठगी ता ठग को आदेश. Pain comes to rob you. Pain tries to cheat. Why not play a trick with pain? Yes, I understand you are important. But there is something more important? Do you have that something more important in your life? If you don't have that, then you are unnecessarily living very poorly, because you indeed do have that. In spite of having that, you are living as if you don't have that. Every day you are reminded you have it. For a good 6 hours, 8 hours, you are reminded you have it. When? In sleep. Where do all your worries and tensions disappear? In sleep. Hmm? Why do you wake up feeling fresh? You retire tired, and when you get up, you are fresh. And it is not as if the freshness is merely physical. The mental system has been rejuvenated. And why has it been rejuvenated? Because you disappeared for 6 hours, 8 hours. You are the one who tires and gets tired. The account will never show up as a figure. You will never tangibly see that you are the owner of an imperishable account. Immense, inexhaustible. You will never see that. What you will always see is losses. Hence, you must have a particular attitude towards losses, and I'm using that word deliberately. Attitude. You need not have an attitude towards what you have. You cannot have an attitude towards that. If you have an attitude towards who you are, towards your inner richness and fullness, then there is a problem. Don't have any attitude towards the real self, but do have an attitude towards your losses. The attitude must be, who bothers? You must know a point beyond which all botheration must end. Let all botheration be contained to a very limited and practical domain. Because you live as a body, because you operate as flesh and bones. So some botheration is inevitable. But you must know what the limits of the body are. And the limits of the body must also be the limits of all your botheration. To the extent you are a body bother. Beyond that, no body and hence no botheration. There must be a cut-off point. Beyond this point, I just don't take it upon myself. Beyond this point, no load. Yes, of course, there is some pressing matter and I'm thinking of it. I'm analyzing, I'm planning. But the moment the analysis, the thought, the planning starts encroaching upon my essential peace, my central nature, I disallow. I will not allow mundane concerns to impinge upon my precious self, my real treasure. Only a drunkard sells family silver to buy one more bottle. You could not be so foolish, so tipsy. The matters of the world might be important, but are they so important that you sell your peace for them? Tell them when they start acting too big for themselves. Sir, wait. When they start withdrawing too much from you, tell them you have reached your withdrawal limit. You have reached your credit limit. Beyond this, you will not get anything from me. You have had enough. Give to the world what is due to the world. Don't give to the world what is not due to the world. It would be a tremendously bad deal. The world gave you the body. Give your effort to the world, all right. Never give your essence to the world. Don't sell your soul.
Still, to find big so that the pain will go slow, less. वो अभी तक मुझे मालूम नहीं चल रहा है क्योंकि
हमने कहा वो कभी मालूम नहीं चलेगा. The big will never be known. Just know the small as small. The big is beyond all knowledge and perception. So if you are hunting for the big, you'd rather be hunted. Hmm? Don't look for the big. If my words are making you feel that there is something indeed immensely big, and you must go and grasp it and possess it and own it, or at least perceive it, or have some knowledge of it, then you are mistaken. The big is so big that it is beyond all knowledge, comprehension, possession. But by the virtue of the big, the small can be known as small. And everything is small compared to the big. Everything is small. Hence, the trick is whatever comes to you, take it as small. That is how you live in the richness of the big, by taking everything as small. Take everything as small, and you have proven to yourself that you are living in the. I know the language is loose here. You don't need to prove to yourselves, and the big cannot really be proven. The Upanishads say aprameya, that which cannot be proved. But purely for the purpose of comprehension, am I using these words?
As practical, sometimes I get a pain, maybe some pain. Then I see today is a cricket match. Yes, that's good. The pain go immediately. Same happens most of the time. But sometimes, most of the time, I didn't find those situations to think so that my pain goes low. That's why I'm asking what is that pain?
I know of a boy. He has a sweet tooth. Hmm? You know what that is? The fellow has something for food, especially sweet food. So he had mumps. You know what mumps are? Hmm? A disease in which there is a lot of swelling in the throat area. You can't really swallow anything. It's difficult to swallow even saliva. It's difficult to even drink water. There is such terrible swelling. Hmm? It's episodic. After a few days, it goes away. The fellow was given some gulab jamun, and he swallowed it. All you need is something bigger than pain. You must have something more attractive, more beautiful than pain. Then who bothers for pain? I go to play these days in the morning, and this shoulder hurts, and it hurts very badly. But there is something about holding the racket and hitting the ball that when you are playing, you forget the shoulder. These are not exact examples. Please, I'm just pointing at something. God is not a rasgulla, gulab jamun. God is not a game of squash either. So don't turn the intangible into tangible. If you are a woman who has given birth, you know what pain is. But you also know that there is something bigger than pain. The birth must happen. Anybody, and it's a small example, again, it's just a pointer. The example is not worth the one I'm pointing at, but still take the example. If you ever have had any lofty purpose in your life, then you know what I mean. People lay down their lives. Pain is there, and yet they work and struggle and fight. You know of the Olympics. You know of the runner who inspired the Olympics. You know his story? Hmm? You know how the marathon race started? The fellow had to communicate a message to his people that the city is being attacked. He must have been on an outpost. He must have seen the enemy advancing. Hmm? Probably from an elevated position, he was able to look at the enemy army coming towards him. So he ran, and he ran hard. He ran hard for 20 kilometers, 40 kilometers, and he delivered the message. And as he delivered the message, he died. He ran so hard for so long. When there is something big, then the small gets forgotten. It's a very obvious thing that I am saying. Greatness lies in siding with the big. That is why the marathon happens today. The fellow could have listened to his pain, or he could have listened to his dharma. He listened to his dharma. And that is why he has been immortalized. That's the way to live life. See and really know what is more important, and forget all else. Hmm? You will never see the really important, but if you are surrendered to the really important, then the really important will enable you to see what is relatively important. Whenever you will have two choices, one choice will be relatively important to the other. The absolutely important will never come to you as a choice. But by the grace of the absolutely important, you will be able to know what is relatively important. No choice is absolute. Whenever you have to choose between two or three or four, it's a matter of relativity. One thing is relatively more important to the other, but we make errors there. We fail to comprehend what is more important. Hmm? For that, you will have to live in the absolute. What does it mean to live in the absolute? It means that you must not side with feelings of inferiority, littleness, incompleteness. You must never appear too bothered, shriveled. The greatest stories are the stories of those who are smiling in face of death. They really die then. They go away leaving no remainder. Don't you see you love to hear those stories? Have you ever wondered why you love those stories? Hmm? There is the movie 300. Have you seen that? Hmm? What's the storyline? Only 300 people resisting a far, far bigger army. Was that from Persia? Yes. And when all have been annihilated and only their leader remains, standing in front of the conqueror, he is still all himself. Not only is he all himself, surrounded by hundreds of enemy soldiers, he throws a weapon at the king perched high. And what happens? The weapon actually scats him, right? And the story of King Puru in front of Sikandar. And the fable of Prithviraj Chauhan in front of Muhammad Gori. Abnachuk Chauhan. And he has been blinded. That's how the story goes. One never knows the facts. But the story is so beautiful. It almost makes you wake up. You start feeling younger. Have you ever wondered why such stories appeal to you so deeply? Because they tell you that you are bigger than death. The stories might be fiction, but what they tell you is absolute truth. That's why man will always love these stories. That's why heroes and heroism will always be there. One does not remember the life of Abhimanyu. One remembers his death. Because there is something heroic in his death. One lad, one little chap, in front of the mightiest of warriors and surrounded. And he doesn't give up. Do you know anything else about Abhimanyu? Tell me. But you can never forget the Chakravyuh. You can never forget how he fought. You can never forget how he died. Or Ghatotkaч. In his death was the redemption of Arjun. Karn had saved a weapon to be used only at Arjun. Ghatotkacha troubled him so much that he had to use that weapon at Ghatotkacha. Now Arjun was safe. And even as Ghatotkacha is dying, what is he doing? He is using his vast body as a weapon. He is crashing down, and he decides to crash down on the enemy soldiers. He is defeating death. Maybe by the time he fell down, he was already dead. But this dead one is still a warrior. Look at the fellow. He has used his own dead body as ammunition. You will never forget Ghatotkacha. Otherwise, he is a very marginal character. There is no need to remember him. I am talking of death repeatedly because that is our greatest scare. If man can beat death, then obviously man can beat other small losses as well. Death appears to us to be the biggest loss. If man has it in him to beat even death, then obviously smaller losses can be smilingly taken.